So those menus, those formularies are broken into tiers, and there's usually 5 tiers. The first 2 are generic drugs, tier 1 and tier 2 generic drugs. Then, if you get into tier 3 and tier 4, that's brand name drugs. Now they're starting to get more expensive. But this might be a drug that retails for $1,000 for a month, but you're going in and you're buying it for maybe $47. That's why we have Part D plans. These are made up numbers, by the way. It's just for the sake of illustration. And then you get into the ultra expensive specialty drugs, and then they just charge you a percentage of the cost of the drug. So if you've got a really expensive drug, that that specialty drug could be pricey. Now, there's some drugs are not in any formulary. This formulary is the most important part about any drug plan, by the way, because if uh, there's probably 47% of all prescription drugs are not in any Part D formulary. So that's about half. And if your drugs are not on the menu, that plan doesn't do you any good. So this is the most important thing. When you're looking at a Part D plan, first question we need to ask is, are my drugs on the menu? Because if they're not on the menu, it's not going to help you. Doesn't matter how much it costs. It doesn't matter how good the coverage is. You got it. Your drugs have to be in the formulary. Now, there's some drugs that are not in any formulary. You mentioned compounded drugs. Those are custom, that characteristically they're custom, so they're not in any formulary. But there's some others that are better defined, barbiturates, because of the potential for abuse. Benzodiazepines, those are the anti-anxiety drugs. Cosmetic drugs and hair loss drugs. Look, some of us guys, we're just out of luck. Fertility drugs. We're all over 65 here, right? Sexual dysfunction. We're not going to talk about it. Vitamins and minerals, even if they're prescribed. A lot of times people say, well, my doctor prescribed vitamin D or iron for me. Even if your doctor prescribed it, Medicare Part D doesn't cover it. Weight loss and weight gain drugs. Now, most of us at this age do not need weight gain drugs, but weight loss drugs is a big topic these days. And in fact, we were just talking about it. In every class that I teach, somebody will say, well, what about Ozempic? What about Wegovy? Well, let's talk about it. So this is the same stuff. Both of these are the same stuff. In fact, they're manufactured by the same company. It's a company called Novo Nordisk. They're labeled differently, though. Now, Ozempic is labeled for blood sugar management. How do you get Ozempic? You go to your endocrinologist, they take a blood test, and they say, oh, your A1C numbers are out of whack. We're gonna prescribe Ozempic for you. And by the way, it has this magical side effect of helping you to manage your weight. Wegovy is labeled for weight loss. Consequently, Ozempic gets paid for and Wegovy does not. Now, there may be some changes coming up with Wegovy, with that being used for some cardiac conditions, but this is how it has been. So it depends on how it's labeled, even though it's the same stuff. This is a big deal because it's super expensive. This stuff is like $1,000 a month, maybe $1,200 a month. And it's becoming very, very popular.